What's up, everyone? Welcome, Normal America Show. Host. Oh, for crying out loud. What am I doing? I didn't have my mic. So leave it on. What an idiot. Anyways, I'm your host, robnoerr, Normal America Show. No, I wasn't on the wrong mic. I just had my mic behind the damn monitor. Oh, jeez. That's it. Wrap it up. That's it. Yeah, ironically, we're going to talk about the streaming community today. So put a knife in me. I'm done. What a piece of shit. When I'm doing my hit piece on myself, I'll make sure to include my many physical and technological blunders. Can you even call that a tech? Like, most of the time you think a tech blunder, it's like, there's some, your settings are set incorrectly. Not that your fucking mic is on the other side of the room. I don't know that qualifies as a tech blunder. That's just stupidity. I got spades of it, baby. Boomerisms, yes. I'm doing great, everyone. It's great to hear from you. It is a boomer blunder. I couldn't be happier to be here tonight. Of course, I could be taking a nap. At what point in the evening is a nap just bedtime? Like, if you're like, it's 8 p.m., I think I'll take a nap. That's just bed, right? That's, for me, 8 p.m. Any nap after 8 p.m., that's it. That's not a nap. That's just turn it in. You might wake up at like 11 or something. What are you going to do? Get shit done at 10 o'clock? No. You sit there and look at your phone for 20 minutes and be like, I guess it's bedtime. Well, okay, except you crazies that work like weird hours. Of course, I guess technically I'm one of those crazies that work weird hours now. I mean, my normal stream is, ending at like 1 a.m. Well, Andrew, I don't know what Andrew's doing. Andrew's sleep schedule is... Did you ever see the Seinfeld? I think it's Seinfeld, where Kramer's like convinced he could sleep like Da Vinci and just sleep like 20 minutes every 2 hours. Andrew's on some shit like that or something. I don't know. I don't even try to keep, like, I'm just like, whatever. Just message me when you're up. 102 degrees. Poof. It's a nice mild day here. 57 or so, I think it was. 6 a.m. Whoa. Most of my life, I was an early riser. See, this is the philosophical questions. If you pass out in your jeans, are those your pajama pants? Interesting. Yeah, it didn't snow here, but it frosted and hailed. So we had that. A bit of gallows humor today, though, because, man, once we get into the show, one of the darkest days in our country that I've ever seen. An attack right on the heart and foundation of our country, an attack on democracy, a day that'll live in infamy. So I'm sorry to inform you, it's going to be a bummer show as we talk about one of the major political parties. By the way, it's not just a political party, mind you. It's the left-wing establishment parties around the world. But certainly in the United Kingdom and the United States, we're going to talk about attacks on democracy. That's what I'm supposed to say, right? Worst day since 9/11. Right? That's how we say this? That's right. 9/11 times 1,000. So we're going to talk about that. We got some other stories to cover. I hope everyone had a good day. This was like one of those days I had that was like awesome because it was uneventful. I watched TV shows with my son. My wife made spaghetti for dinner. It was delicious. Didn't have anything to do. No yard work. Oh, this is worse than Pearl Harbor. Of course. Am I drunk? No. No booze. No. Has there been a TikTok invasion? My understanding, I have not directly talked to Andrew about this, but my understanding is the way he does the invasions, it's a confusing setup, and his Wi-Fi on the device he's using for the invasions isn't working, so he has to. That's what I heard through the grapevine, so I don't know. But yeah, it was a good day. I don't have any fun stories to tell you today other than to say it was good. Except it was worse than January 6th, 9/11. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Definitely the worst. Like, it was personally a good day, but for the country, like the worst day ever. Well, you can always give your money to me and say to heck with Andrew. Gizmo, what's happening, my man? How you doing? $20 says, yo, yo, yo. What's happening, Gizmo? Hope everything's going great. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about, I always, for me, I sort of bury the lead a little. I try to, so that we can get people that come in. Sometimes it takes people half an hour or so to get in. So, talk about maybe a not as important story to start. I saw this post. I didn't save it, I don't think. But it was talking about a lot of the right wing backbiting online here with streamers. So whether it be people in the religious community that are right wingers going after other right wingers, or people in the political community, you not only have, of course, you have, the big groups that are going to fight. The red pill is going to disagree with but now you're seeing infighting even amongst those groups. We talked about a little yesterday, like the America First battle and stuff. And I saw someone posit an interesting and probably true theory that the market is oversaturated. The right-wing streaming market, there's more streamers than there's an audience for it. And so what happens is, in a grab for viewers, you attack other people, use drama and stuff like that, and it tends to increase your audience. So I thought I'd talk about that theory here for a second. I think there's truth to that, but I think there's more to it as well. I think one of the things that happens is, this is so counterintuitive, but in the political streaming world, negativity sells. And that's true. That's why drama and stuff like that tends to get eyeballs. But you don't need drama. Negativity also sells politically. And this is true of not just streaming, but politics in general. When your side's losing, you get more of an audience. Like, just like, we won the election. Like, there's excitement at first, but then it's like, there's going to be things that happen that aren't good, scandals or policies you don't like. And rarely are there victories that are just like, oh, this is amazing, let's all party and celebrate, other than the election victory themselves. And so the irony of ironies is, for someone like me, my audience would be bigger right now had Kamala Harris won. Because I'd be sitting here every night saying, here's what she did that was shit. And people would be like, uh-huh. Similarly, the left has that advantage right now. There are people that, well, let me put it this way. If you're right wing and your side wins and it's just ho-hum or it's slightly negative, you're probably finding other things to watch. You don't want to think about it. I'll watch the hockey game, some shit like that. But if it's Joe Biden, he's a bumbling idiot that doesn't know where he's at and the media's covering it up, then yeah, you're going to tune in, see what your streamers are talking about with it. On the left, they have plenty to talk about at this point with Donald Trump. Trump winning is the best thing that ever happened to the left. Their audience is rabid. And so it was funny, I used to joke during the Biden years, where'd all the left-wing debaters go? Like, all of a sudden it was, we're going to argue with the red pill. they couldn't really defend Biden's actions. They couldn't. So they just sort of, they talked about Trump anyways, or, whatever. Because politics is like that, it is not a popular position to be like, this administration's okay. You're basically, as a right winger, you have to be Trump's the greatest ever. Everything's part of this massive plan. It's awesome. Or he's fucking it up. He's a stooge of Israel. That's it. The sort of like, there's good things and there's bad things. It doesn't sell as much. And so, as a creator, as like, a streamer, you have a tendency to become more extreme in one way or another. Or you go down the drama route. And I think that's a lot of what you're seeing. And so there is like backbiting and all this shit for clicks and stuff. I'm not saying everyone that does it is just purely calculating. I think it's more organic. It's more subconscious. You gotta have something to talk about. And some of the criticisms are valid and warranted and need to happen. Don't get me wrong. And even I've engaged from time to time. I'll probably have some more on the drama front in the coming month about a personal situation I'm involved in. But ultimately, I think there is truth to the idea that people, they want to be the big dog. And sometimes I think people look at others as sort of competition. So, if, I don't know, like, let's assume Jake Rattlesnake or Jim Bob or Jay Dyer are streaming right now. They're my competition, right? Fuck them. How can I make my show better than theirs? And I understand that. All I can say about it is this. I'm doing this as a living. It's my job now. I want to make enough money that I can support my family. I'm doing that. I'd happily take more piles of money too. But I don't much give a shit, if I'm quite honest. I don't know that who knows? Like, if I won the Powerball tomorrow and all of a sudden I'm, sitting on $300 million, maybe I'd become a huge asshole wearing Rolexes and driving sports cars. I don't think so, though. I think I'd just have a slightly better house in sort of the area I live in. I'd have a big shed for my zero-turn mower, for sure. I would get a shed. Of course, I'd have a gazebo. But I don't know. And I've talked about this before. It's not just the idea of money, but it's also the idea of power. And I think some people truly have to be the big man. And maybe that's because they think I am the best, and so I should be at the top, and I'll steer things in the right direction for everyone. I think a lot of people that think that aren't correct, but that's fine. But whatever. And to make it to the top, like, in the athletic world, you gotta have that confidence. And, you want the guy, you basketball or whatever, you want that guy with that confidence that thinks he's the best taking the final shot of the game. I get that. That's what made someone like Kobe or Michael Jordan so good, if you follow basketball. But for me, I just don't give a shit. I want to provide for my family. I want this country to go in the right direction. I want my community to thrive. That's it. And if that means that I'm the person up front, fine. But if I'm not, that's fine too. And so for me, most of the time it's easy to, like, the drama for me is more like someone talks shit on me and I talk shit back. Very rarely is the drama for me come from a point of like, well, I should have a bigger audience. I should have that person's spot. Like, I'll be straight up with you. I think I'm a pretty fucking good debater on sort of the political issues. Watch someone like Brian Shapiro that gets on Piers Morgan. Does anyone have any doubt that I'm a fucking, not just a better debater, but more entertaining than Brian Shapiro? Oh shit, Brian Shapiro mentioned him. Sorry, I almost missed it.
He harasses women in messages, has a weird infatuation with men's organs. He's a syndicated radio host, and it's all about respect. He's Brian Shapiro.
So sometimes it's puzzling. You're like, that guy's getting on Piers Morgan? But I don't give a shit if I'm honest. Someday I hope to get on Piers Morgan because I like debating and I want to talk in front of more people. That's totally true. But I don't. It's not going to be a big issue if I never do. It's totally fine. And also, they're not necessarily, when you really think about it, it's not that that show's interested in the best debater. That show's interested on views. And you might be a dog shit debater, Brian Shapiro. But maybe you're a train wreck and people like to watch it. So, I don't know. Like, when I read that today, I was like, I get it. I get what they're saying. Like, oh, I need this audience and this. I've just always sort of done my own thing, and that's that. And when it was just a hobby for me, if I made some money, great. But I didn't really give a shit. And now that it's my livelihood, if I'm making enough to pay my bills, awesome. And anything over it, it's like, great. Now, my expenses go up a little because I'm traveling a little more. I'll fly down to Dallas for DebateCon and all that good stuff. Most of the time, people take care of my ticket, depending on if I'm going to help someone out. Like when I was working with Word War would pay for me to go out. Or if I'm going to do, a debate course or something, those people will pay me to go out. But I just thought it was interesting. And it certainly is a lot of people. For me, I just want to let you know where I'm coming from. I like to have fun on here. I want to make money on here. I want to say my authentic points on here. And then secondary to that, I want to push this country in what I think is the best direction. Some people are going to disagree with me on my plans. Other people will agree with me. For me, when we are getting into election season, I'm trying to make a judgment on where I think the focus should be and what party I want to see win. Obviously, normally the Republicans, never the Democrats. And that's it. So I'm still giving my honest opinions, but I'm also fully admitting that I'm cheering for Republicans, particularly the ones I think that are most aligned with me, to win. And as such, I'm going to do my best to try to influence people in that direction. So, but that was it. That's all I had to say on that. All right. That's sort of a dumb topic. Who gives a shit? But I wanted to, before I really bummed you all out today, the worst day since 9/11. This is 9/11 times Pearl Harbor times January 6th levels of bad. It's that bad. Our democracy is under attack. Biggest attack in our democracy I've ever seen. And everybody knows if there's an attack on democracy, well, that's that. Now, of course, we've had signs from the Democrats here recently of what they plan to do if they consolidate power, particularly if they get both the legislative and the executive branch. And James Carville's outlined it. Like, it's funny, what was it? The Project 2028 people or whatever. What was that? You remember that shit? Like, the Democrats' plans are just by far worse and embraced by more people in the establishment Democratic Party than anything that ever came of that. It's like James Carville's came out there and he's like, here's what we need to do: pack the courts, go after Trump and everyone connected to him, but don't run on it. Lie. Don't announce it. Now, this is the heart of the Democratic Party. Let's be clear. Republican Party, Democratic Party both have crazy extremists. But the problem with the Democratic Party is their crazy extremists are the mainstream. Now, the Republican Party sucks in many ways. They just don't want power and they want to sabotage Trump so they get back in the seat of control. But you don't see the promises they're making like you see with the Democrats. Sorry, my mic was. So whether it be the assassination of Charlie Kirk, or we pointed to, something like, depending on the studies look at, it's like 20 to 30% of Democrats, way more than Republicans, think that violence is justified to achieve your goals. They celebrated the lawfare against Trump for how long? They're now increasingly calling for packing the courts. You had people like, I forget his name even, the AG there in Virginia that won an election. Basically, his messages of his came out saying he wanted his Republican opponents' children to die. That's the Democratic Party. That's the heart and soul. The heart and soul of the Democratic Party is disband ICE. Let the border go back to the way it was under Biden. Let the biological men in women's rooms. Abortion for any reason. That's it. That's the heart of the Democratic Party. That's not some caricature. That's it. That's who they are. And you'll have the people that are more politically savvy, or maybe they believe this, that identify as Democrat, that are like, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. Yeah, the Ohio AG running to give the death penalty to Trump. No. So let me give you an example. Guy I've talked with a lot in my show is a left-winger, Pisco, right? To Pisco's credit, he is against the idea, or so he's claimed, of packing the court. Now, just in case you wonder, maybe you hear that phrase a lot, and I don't make fun of you if you don't understand what's going on. Currently, right now, there are 9 Supreme Court justices. I believe 6 of them have been appointed by Republicans, 3 by Democrats. It's a lifetime appointment. So only when you retire or pass away does the seat become open. And Democrats are pissed off they're not getting their way. And so they are suggesting that if they obtain power, they're going to add 4 more justices. That would make the court 7-6. In other words, if we don't like what the court's saying, we're just going to add as many justices as we want until the court says what we want. Now, a couple things about the court. Now, I'm biased, so look it up for yourself. But I think I'm right to say this. Right-leaning justices tend to be most of them are willing to go against the right if it's in alignment with their view of the Constitution and their reading of it. There's only a handful, like in the recent history in my lifetime, there's only been a handful of left-wing justices that you could say the same. Most of them, like Ketanji Brown Jackson, our newest Supreme Court justice, 99% of the time how she's going to roll. All you need to know is which side benefits the Democrats. That's how she's going to roll. She's terrible. They're ideologues. They just vote how they feel like. So actually having more Republican justices, it's still not out of control, or hasn't been in my lifetime. The other thing is Democrats rely on the courts historically far more than Republicans. That's because they want a lot of shit passed that wouldn't get passed in a democracy like gay marriage. Fuck it. We don't care how the people voted. And a bunch of other shit like that. You can see right now how the courts at the lower levels, Trump wants to build a ballroom. Fuck you, no. Trump wants to fix the Lincoln Memorial. Fuck you, no. Trump wants to deport gangbangers. Fuck you, no. Doesn't matter. Anything Trump wants to do. Nope. And you hear all the time, Trump's so lawless. See how many times the court rules against him? What you don't see is he's got an amazing track record once it gets up to the highest courts. He ends up winning at the end with most of these. We've talked about our judicial system before. I won't belabor the point too much. Every level of it, every level at this point is a joke. Most right-wingers, if you put them on a jury, they're like, okay, I'll try to look at the facts. Left-wingers, who's that? Black man? Not guilty. Or be super nice to him. Oh, it's someone who attacked Trump or Republicans. Not guilty. Oh, it's someone who's Republican, Trumper. Guilty. The juries are, there's been reports going on. There's actually Democrat organizations that are training people in jury nullification. The cops, the largest extent after George Floyd, many of them have checked out. And even before then, if they were low staffed or just shitty cops or whatever, we see in DC right now, a bunch of people are resigning and there's going to be lawsuits, possible criminal charges for a bunch of people in the DC Police Department for faking crime statistics. So that's the cops. The chiefs of police are becoming more and more woke in these Democrat cities. The prosecutors, more and more Soros-sponsored prosecutors that are letting people back on the streets. Yeah, this guy just the other day, this woman got shoved by this black man. She didn't want to, I don't want to put another black man in jail. They let the dude out. He shoves an older man, kills him, and then is arraigned not long after that in court smiling for another assault. And over we hear, well, we got to, the judges, they suck. But even with all those advantages, it's not enough. It's just not enough. Quick, tell me, what are the policies? Take abortion out of the mix, or Medicare for all. What are the policies Democrats are running on? What's the Democrat Party stand for, policy-wise? Orange man bad, impeach Trump, throw Trump in jail, get everyone connected to Trump. Okay, we got that. And then what? We need to make sure that the USAID money is going back. And we need to make sure that we stop deporting people. And we need to make sure that we reverse it and make sure that illegals could get Medicare. And these are not popular positions. They're just running on, we hate Trump. Thank you, Arvo. I promise I'll get to the super chats. The problem is the Democratic Party's been propped up for years with unpopular positions through all sorts of shady shit. Now, I can't prove all of this, but much of it's been alleged, and it certainly is what I believe. They've had all sort of shady funding operations, whether it be the government passing money to give money through forms like USAID that then ends up getting kicked back to politicians, overwhelmingly Democrats, but also some Republicans. Or they give money to unions, then the unions sponsor the politicians for running for office. They give money to countries like Ukraine, and then somehow the money gets kicked back to John Kerry's son and Joe Biden's sons working for Burisma there in Ukraine. Again, this isn't to say that the Republicans are innocent of this. Many of the establishment Republicans not only are involved, this is specifically why they'd never call many of these Democrats out on it. Then you have Act Blue, the Democrats' primary fundraising organization. The amount of absurdity with it is fucking... James O'Keefe's been on this for 5 fucking years. You had gerrymandering. We'll talk about that in a minute. The mistakes on the census. Whoopsie daisy. Mistakes on the census that went the Democrats' way. Uh-oh. The racial gerrymandering. The huge institutional advantages with our mainstream media. Basically acting as a propaganda arm for the Democratic Party. Before 2020 or 2024, the tech industry, all the social media companies. Now it's a little more even, but still overwhelmingly favors the Democrats. All of these institutional advantages that the Democrats had. And you ask yourself, how do we get to a position where so many of their policies... Now again, there's some Democrat watching and they're like, well, the Republicans suck too. Totally agree. They suck less though. And largely the things they suck about are the voters excoriating them as well. Like, we want more deportations. Trump, Republicans, we want voter ID. We're tired of pissing money away on so much of the shit like USAID was doing. We want Doge cuts. Now, if you paid any attention, and we're going to do a little cross-application here, if you'll indulge me, with the UK elections. We're going to talk about Keir Starmer here in a while. Labour just received, as far as I know, my reading of this, the single biggest local election loss of any major party in UK ever. I believe the final tally was 83% of the seats they were defending, incumbents, lost. 83%. The second closest to that was the fucking Tories in 2025 that lost some like 70%. The United Kingdom went from Tories, like basically they're Republicans, to fuck you, you're terrible, to Labour, which is basically they're Democrats, to fuck you, we're going to try a third party. Is anyone in the United Kingdom happy with their political parties? I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there's a small percentage, but it's not much better here in the United States. Congressional, I don't know when the last time, I'll just look real quick. Obviously, you take polls with a grain of salt. Let's see if I can find what congressional approval is now. So, let's see. It's thinking. But it's terrible. And I believe the Democrats are somehow polling worse than Republicans in Congress. Democrat voters aren't happy with Democrats. They're fucking insane. So many of them, not all. Republican voters aren't happy with Republicans. It's like we can't get adequate representation. And to be fair, as much as I disagree with the plan, I understand The impetus from those on the right wing, the dissident right, that are like, vote Democrat to teach the Republicans a lesson. I understand the principle, which comes from, we feel they're letting us down too. Gallup's most recent poll shows Congress at 10% approval with 86% disapproval, tying the all-time record for disapproval. Here's some polling averages of years going back. 2025 congressional approval, 23%, 24, 16.2. 2023, 17.8. 2022, 20%. From 2016 to 2021, we had about 15 to 25% approval. No one's happy. The Democratic Party, to the forget the crazies, forget the Trump faked his assassination attempt by any means necessary crew. They're gone. Forget them. But there's still a lot of people that vote Democrat that aren't like hardcore like that. What do they have to show? What are the policies? Trans shit, open borders, welfare for illegals. You're seeing it in all the Western world. It's an intentional globalist agenda designed to erode national identity in the first world countries in the Western world, and the people don't like it. So, the Democrats really were in a tight spot. So they're going to go back to the well. Full court press with lawfare, full court press with racism, redistricting. That's what's going on. Trump's a very divisive guy. The Republicans in Congress, their fortunes largely rest with how people generally feel about the Trump administration. If they feel that Trump's doing pretty good, Republicans will do pretty good. Obviously, there are individual exceptions, but in general, that's how it goes. This isn't unique to Trump. Same of Biden in the midterms for Biden. If people feel the Biden administration's doing a shitty job, they'll probably punish the Democrats at the ballot box. Oh, I didn't even mention when it comes to tricks, ballot harvesting, all sorts of questions. You know that little graph? Whoop! Mass amounts of ballots coming in for Democrats late in the night. Now, they've been allowed to get away with much of this for a long time, the Democrats. And they're still in the game because of that, and because Trump's unpopular with a lot of these centrist type people that you're going to need. Forget about the dissident right, the Israel people. Put them off to the side. There's a lot of people that do think that aren't by any means extreme people. They're like, yeah, I think Israel has too much influence. They don't like what they see with Trump. There's some people that want more deportations. There's some that think that ICE was too harsh on people. There's some that think that like his spat with Elon and they feel Doge didn't really go anywhere. Iran war is not going to be popular. The gas prices, not popular. There's a lot of people that really don't like the policies of Trump, but they find Trump's personal behavior, the way he talks, how he carries himself, they don't like that. So that's where we stand. Slight Democrat edge. But one thing you can say about Trump and his influence over the Republican Party, he's like, fuck it. Let's use the tools they use. All pretense of, norms. There are no norms. Norms are blue slip rule allowing Democrats in states where they have senators to be like, nah, fuck you. You don't get your appointees. Norms are Kavanaugh, calling Kavanaugh a gang sexual assaulter. That's norms. Norms are open border. Everything that the Democrats say are norms is bullshit that they violate all the time, but they're allowed to do it. They can gerrymander, no problem. Republicans do it, it's an attack on democracy. Isn't that right? Tell them. Hear this guy lately? Not the Pope, but they're Mr. Obama. We need to redistrict in Virginia for restoring fairness. It's an attack on democracy. Trump bitches about a judge. Oh my gosh, that's so dangerous. Democrats bitch about a judge. Chuck Schumer says that Kavanaugh has reaped the whirlwind. People are leaking decisions from the court. We never really saw that happen. Assassination attempts on Supreme Court justice. We don't really see that happen. It's just every day now. Riots in the street against federal law enforcement. It's common occurrence. Oh well. Mostly peaceful protests, right? The media goes along with it. They set the narrative that it was the violating of norms and the harming our democracy. When Republicans were the minority party and we had a Democrat president and they were threatening a shutdown. You must get along with the agenda. It is the will of the people. Now, shoes on the other foot, still Republicans' fault, still Trump's fault that we're still enduring a shutdown. So, now we find ourselves in this situation with Virginia. Trump, the Republicans are like, fuck it, we're going to redistrict Texas. And that set off a powder keg. Neither Republicans or Democrats are innocent in gerrymandering. They both do it. You could argue which side you think's worse. There's arguments on all sides. It's an interesting debate. Most studies say that Republicans do it worse, but then you look at places like New England, 45% of people vote for Trump, not one Trump representative, a Republican representative. So Trump gets in, it's like, we're going to challenge all kinds of shit. Birthright citizenship. We're going to challenge whether or not illegals should be counted in the census. We're going to challenge whether or not the last census was done correctly. We're going to suggest redistricting in places like Texas to gain us seats. We're going to take it to court to see if racial gerrymandering should be legal. Win after win after win after win on these things. That's important. They might lose the birthright citizenship. We shall see. But they're making efforts. I looked into this a little. Like in the gerrymandering battles. Here's it distilled down. I remember hearing about this as it happened. This person says, What Oregon Democrats did in 2022 is probably the most egregious example escalation in the redistricting wars. Oregon Democrats made a deal with Republicans that in exchange for the GOP agreeing to end their legislative delaying tactics, Tina Kopeck promised bipartisan redistricting. Except Kopeck lied, reneged on her end of the deal, and brutally gerrymandered Oregon with zero GOP input. Here's the districts in Oregon. Notice how Portland gets involved in every district there except this one down here? They lied. Just like Spanberger lied. Governor of Virginia. Oh, no. The gerrymandering's out of control. I would never do that. Bam. As soon as she's in there. Yeah, let's do that shit. Now, the problem from the perspective of a gerrymandering war is no matter what you think, who's the most at fault, Republicans have more room to do it than Democrats because so many of these states are already 45% Trump, but only 1 seat or 0 seats for Republicans. They don't have much more room. They had California. They had Virginia. And so they bragged, and it was a big victory that they meant from 6-5 Democrat districts in Virginia to 10-1. And oh boy, were they excited. They were bragging. Ha ha, we got you. Spent between $40 and $70 million. I would say probably closer to $40 million. In the Democratic Party, it's already hemorrhaging money. But hey, that's a 5+ seat for the Democrats. $40 million is cheap to pay for that. They knew it was illegal. They knew it was illegal for 3 reasons. They just assumed that the Democrat-led courts would go along with them. In fact, they're shocked that the Democrat-led Virginia Supreme Court was like, no, this is blatantly unconstitutional for the Virginia Constitution. That's what happened. They really thought, they were like, and here's the thing, you have to understand this. There are not as many shady backroom deals as you would think, people in smoky rooms. Most of it's just unsaid. I say this all the time. I don't believe that Barack Obama sat down with Lois Lerner at the IRS when they targeted Republican organizations. Nothing need be said by any means necessary. We're the good people. They're evil. So whatever your rule is, use that to your advantage to win because your opponents are evil. That's it. You're on the right side of history. You're the March on Selma. You're MLK. Whatever you got to do. So Obama didn't have to sit down and talk, now, Lois, here's what I'd like. Target these Republican organizations. They didn't need to say it. Same thing here. Democrats knew that there were going to be left-wing judges all across this country doing everything they can to delay, to rule against Trump in every possible way. They know it. They count on it. They don't have to say a word. They just know it. They're team players. They know any means necessary. They're not encumbered by things like fairness. Like, what's fairness? Would you be fair to that Austrian painter guy in World War II? Of course not. Same thing. There is no fairness with evil. Just destroy. That's how they feel. They all get it. That's why the crazy blue-haired lady in your neighborhood will come and rip your Trump sign down. And they'll report college students for having Turning Point USA meetings and all of this shit. No one had to sit down and tell them. They just know. That's what you do. That's how you fight evil. So the Democrats are shocked that their court, that I believe is a 4-3 court for Democrats, ruled against them. With the Democrat writing a Democrat-appointed justice writing the decision. This comes off the heels of The huge Voting Rights Act case where you can't racially gerrymander. Now you're seeing, just today, Alabama went to the court. Court said, yep, you could redistrict. Louisiana, they're going to redistrict. Georgia, they're going to redistrict. Uh-oh. Now all of a sudden that sure Democrat win in the midterms, not looking so good. And here's what the Democrats realize. If the house of cards of all of these institutional advantages go away, and if Trump isn't there with his foibles, what are they going to run on? What are they going to do? They're desperate. And desperate people are dangerous. Go back and look when 2024, they were certain that Jack Smith was going to lock Trump up. That was going to end that shit. They were certain when Trump was fined $500 million. That's that. When Alvin Bragg brought the case, 37-time felon Trump over bullshit charges. That's that. We've taken care of it. Then the court's immunity decision comes down. Uh-oh. So what do? Well, some fucking lunatic shoots at Trump. Trump comes out looking like a boss. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Then Biden shits his pants on the uh-oh. Then they just install Kamala Harris, who just fell out of the coconut tree. Uh-oh. And they lose. And you can see, you could go to places like Blue Sky or Reddit and watch them losing their fucking minds. And I talk about this a lot. Their tactics escalate as they get more desperate. If you're some shithead like me, maybe they dox me. Maybe they call my employer and try to get me fired. Maybe they report my channel. But if I get big like Charlie Kirk, well, maybe there's an answer for that too. That's the truth. So, the Virginia court decision, they're out $40 million. They lose. They have egg on their face. It was blatantly unconstitutional. They just assumed they would ram it through and the Democrat courts would be all right with it. And it wasn't. They didn't give the proper time delay that they would need to do to this. They didn't have the right group suggest the referendum in the first place. It was supposed to be the governor. Instead, they had it the wrong sort of legislators that pushed it forth, which they knew was blatant. And then the most blatant of all of why it was unconstitutional is the Virginia Constitution says when you put things up like this, it has to be neutral language. The example I give is like, imagine that they wanted to put marijuana legalization on the ballot. What you're supposed to say is, should marijuana in limited quantities be legal? You know, that's what it's supposed to say, and then you vote yes or no. Instead, in fact, what the Democrats said was, should marijuana, which has almost no side effects, would be a massive boon to our local economy, creating jobs and creating tax revenue, and is known to help cure many diseases such as glaucoma, which has been demonized by radical right-wingers that want to control your body and your right to do something, should it be legal? You can't do that. That's putting your thumb on the scale. The Virginia Constitution says you can't do that. That's what they did. So instead of just saying, should we redistrict, they were like, in order to restore fairness in our democracy, should we restore? You can't do that. They knew it was bullshit, and I talked about this the other day. Dan Tarantine, who is on Two-Way, who I like listening to, he's a Democrat. He's like, look, I had people from within Spanberger's team reaching out to me before this court decision saying, we told these Democrats in Virginia when they wrote this, it was illegal and it was going to get overruled. They did not give a fuck. They went ahead anyways. They're desperate. Judge ruled against them. They're shocked. So what do? Well, between that and the Voting Rights Act case, first thing they do is go back to the old well. They only got, when everything's Looks like a nail. The only tool you need is a hammer. They only have the hammer. And the hammer is racism. It's racism. Oh, now blacks. Why did we just took away blacks' right to vote? They've been disenfranchised. What the fuck are you talking about? Excuse me? Yep. And we're taking away blacks' right, their voice in Tennessee. We're taking away in Louisiana. And so when Virginia tries to enhance the black vote, the courts say no. Why is Tennessee allowed to do it, not Virginia? Because it's not a federal issue. It's a state issue. And Virginia still could redraw maps if they do it in a legal way. It just won't be done in time for the midterms. But they absolutely could withdraw it by 2028. It just has to be done in the proper way. It's all bullshit. Racism. Like I watched Scott Jennings have to explain the other day, this seat in Tennessee, what, where there was a white Democrat that's now going to lose to a black woman Republican? But they don't count. Black Republicans don't count. They're Uncle Tom. They don't count. They're not real black people. Here's all you need to know. If it results in Democrats losing seats, then it's racist. Even if 90% of blacks would vote Republican, wouldn't matter. It's still racist somehow. That's right. Not having race-focused issues where only black people are entitled to specific gerrymandered districts, that's racism. Makes no sense. But it makes sense when you think of it this way. All that matters to them is power. You can't logically explain to them, now wait a minute. Why should we signal out treating blacks in a special way? They'll still get an opportunity to vote. Now their vote could actually mean more. And this is the other thing. I talked about this on Law and Order there last Monday. What you're doing is, imagine that if you didn't gerrymander and you had 4 districts and 4 were 60%, or 2 were 60 Republican, 40 Democrat, and 2 were 60 Democrat and 40 Republican. Chances are the Republicans are going to win the Republican district and the Democrats win the Democrat. If you gerrymander it, if the Republicans gerrymander to all 4 districts are now 51% Republican, sure, that looks good on paper unless you get good Democrat candidates. Now, instead of 2 seats, Democrats could win all 4. Blacks' vote counts just the same. So that's the first thing they did. We'll get to the second in a minute, but allow me to read some super chats, and please consider getting those in. We're going to get to the meat of today. Hunter Keller for $10 says, my wife and I roleplay as Brian Shaprio and robnoerr. Really spiced up our marriage. That's horrifying. Naughty Jerk, $5. Thank you as always, my friend. The great Arvo. Unbelievable, $100. What a legend. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. Joseph Romano, $10. Blessings upon you. Thank you so much. And Adam Adamant for $5 says, the criticism against Texas redistricting is dishonest. We tried to do it in 2021, just like they did it in Oregon or Illinois. The DOJ blocked us from doing it until Trump won. That's exactly right. Thank you over on Rumble. We're offended. You're offended for the raid. I much appreciate it. Thank you. Consider sending in some more of that sweet, sweet super chat money as we move on with the show here. So now, what's the Democrats? What are they doing? Tactic 2. We need to get these judges out in Virginia. Fuck them. We need to remove them. We need to get rid of the judges. We need to pack the Supreme Court. How can we push through this map anyways? They're saying, the New York Times is reporting. That's interesting. Now, you may have remembered when Democrats pissed and moaned and whined, if you want to challenge things through courts like alternate electors or challenge what you think were fraudulent ballots, etc., that's an attack on democracy. If Trump criticizes a judge like Judge Boasberg, that's an attack on democracy. If he threatens impeaching or removing them, that's an attack on democracy. And now, without batting an eye, the very first thing that the leader of the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, does is, yep, whatever we have to do, get these fucking judges out, let's pack courts, let's do whatever. So let's play a clip. Maybe.
This is stunning. So the Virginia Democrats just conducted an unconstitutional power grab, trying to change the state constitution via referendum, and they did it through an illegal process. The state Supreme Court actually said you can remedy the process by doing it legally next time. Here's how you do that. And now you're seeing this meltdown on the left, where the New York Times is reporting about these machinations at least being discussed by some Democrats at high levels, one of which, as you just detailed, Joey, involves taking out the entire state Supreme Court. Just basically going back retroactively and saying, oh, you're all too old. The new cutoff is 54. You're all ineligible to be justices, so you're out. Filling 7 seats with their own hacks and doing it again. That is banana republic, like total institution destroying madness. Then the backup plan that they're talking about doing, apparently, is to invalidate the 2020 constitutional amendment that was overwhelmingly supported by Virginians, that created the independent redistricting process that has actually brought about a fair map. And then the legislature would say, okay, that one doesn't count anymore. Now we'll draw these new districts. It's wild. I think there are some Democrats tapping the brakes on it, which they should be. If they seriously consider either of these things, it is seismic and like a red flag moment for the democracy that they pretend to care about.
Now, here's my question, and I haven't heard anyone say this. I haven't heard anyone. Let me ask you all a question. Do you think if these reports are true, and it seems that there's multiple sources saying that there are talks going on at the high level of the Democratic Party in Virginia and nationally of what to do about Virginia and the Supreme Court, those courts, if we accept that that's likely occurring, which it would make all sense that it is, let me ask you this. Do you think attorneys are involved? Do you think that if Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and others are saying, what is our plan going forward? Do you think there's attorneys involved? Helping them plan out how to file legal seems to be a reasonable guess, right? Anytime you're talking about changes to the law, etc., how a court ruled, of course there's attorneys. Now, I assume all of these attorneys are going to be disbarred. Correct? Every single attorney that's recommending these needs to be disbarred. That's what happened to John Eastman, right? When John Eastman was issuing legal suggestions of possibly having alternative electors, they disbarred him. So I expect that's what will occur in Virginia, right? That would be fair. Talking about blatantly unconstitutional or absurdly partisan anti-democratic measures, such as how can we make an excuse to remove every single judge? Where are all the Democrats that supported the disbarring of Eastman? Where are they today? If that was... Now, here's my theory. Fuck it. You should be allowed to talk about this shit. It is fucked up as it is. I don't think it's a crime that you go to prison for. If Democrats are like, we've changed it and now you have to be younger than 52 to be a judge. Oh, you guys aren't. I would say fuck them. It's authoritarian. It's bullshit. But I wouldn't say it was a crime, and I wouldn't say the attorneys that were like, look, here's how you could go about it. But that's the Democrat standard now. That's the standard. Can we start subpoenaing phone calls of the Democrats to see what they're saying? Right? Just to be sure. Sounds like an attack on democracy. Should we censor people online in places like YouTube and X and other social media places that want to bitch and say the Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act was racist, right? Because it could cause violence, it could cause misinformation, right? That's the standard that's been set forth. How many Democrats did I talk to that said, oh my God, Trump did illegal stuff? It was illegal. The courts over it's illegal. You can't vote for someone who blatantly was illegal and unconstitutional. That's the Democrats in Virginia, right? But now it's different. Now it's not an attack on democracy. Nope. Now it's attacking judges and ignoring court orders and doing whatever you can to get out of it. Now that's protecting democracy. All of the fucking rhetoric about, norms. You remember when I told you about the Transition Integrity Project? Remember this? Let's see if I can find this. I think I have it saved somewhere in my... Oh, don't do me dirty, bookmark. One second. Let's see if I... The Transition Integrity Project was this Democrat-led project in the summer of 2020. And what they did was they war-gamed out scenarios for how Democrats could get an advantage in different scenarios based on the outcome of the 2020 election, such as Biden winning, Trump winning but losing the popular vote, etc. A landslide victory. There are huge names. Podesta's attached to this. Michael Steele. Let's see if we can get the names. Here was a clear Trump win. Here's what the Democrat plan was that they war-gamed out. All these people connected to politics in the Democratic Party. Here's what they war-gamed out. Third scenario posited a comfortable electoral college victory for Trump, but a significant popular vote for Biden. Okay. The gameplay ended in a constitutional crisis, the threats of secession, and the potential for either a decline into authoritarianism or radically revamped set of democratic rules that ensure the popular will prevails. Abolishment of the Electoral College, making D.C. and Puerto Rico states, and other changes. See, those are good things. That's what we need to do. Turn one, the Trump campaign had two objectives. First priority was legitimize the Electoral College by pushing narratives that cast doubt in former president's popular vote victory and portraying widespread protest of Trump as anti-American, undemocratic, and promoting mob rule. Boy, it's like they just knew there would be protest if Trump won. The Trump campaign planted agent provocateurs and protests throughout the countries to ensure the peaceful protests turned violent. Sucking Trump campaign, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Biden. The most consequential action of the first term was the Biden campaign's retraction of its election night concession. It capitalized on the public's outrage that for a third time in 20 years, a candidate lost the popular vote but won the Electoral College. They also capitalized on concern about widespread voter suppression before and on Election Day. Remember, this is the 2020 election. This was the Democrat plan. If Trump won, the Biden campaign began the game by encouraging 3 states with Democratic governors, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Michigan, to ask for recounts. As the game developed, governors in 2 of the 3, Wisconsin and Michigan, sent separate slates of electors to counter those sent by the state legislator. Uh-oh. What? Don't ban Kiwi just for saying I'm full of shit. Let him say I'm full of shit. Huh. GOP failed to convince moderate Democrats in the House to break ranks with the Democratic resistance, much to the GOP surprise. Again, the first 10 countries in a full constitutional crisis characterized by political chaos, widespread threats of violence, and sporadic actual violence, and hostile, dangerous, highly partisan, frequently unconstrained information in the media. Biden campaign encouraged Western states, particularly California, but also Oregon and Washington, collectively known as Cascadia, to secede from the Union unless congressional Republicans agreed to a set of structural reforms to fix our democratic system to ensure majority rule, with advice from Obama. So they were going to send alternate electors. They were going to threaten to secede from the Union. The truth is, the Democrats, everything that they bitch about Republicans doing, they absolutely will do and far more. And all of a sudden, it's not about norms and protecting democracy or harming democracy. It's the exact opposite. Now it's protecting democracy to have alternate electors. Now it's protecting democracy to attack justices and say, if you don't rule the way we want, then we're going to remove you from office. That's protecting democracy. This was always the case. Here's Jonathan Turley, constitutional law scholar, talking about it. About this, pack the courts, all this shit.
What's your thoughts?
Well, I wrote about this, not because I think that it's likely to succeed, but this sack and pack proposal really captures this age of rage. It captures the fact that now many on the left are saying that we will win by any means necessary. And this is a very important issue for Hakeem Jeffries. He's very unpopular with most people in the country, but he hopes to be the next Speaker of the United States. But in order to do that, he's got to engineer a majority. He's got to get Democrats there in the House to vote for him. He's watching that evaporate across the country. So these radical ideas are nothing new, but I think the public needs to understand that many of these same voices have been saying publicly that they will pack the Supreme Court as well. As soon as they take power, many Democratic pundits and politicians have said that they want to pack the Supreme Court to create an instant liberal majority. It's the same mindset of by any means necessary. No institution, no value is truly sacred.
Now, again, this is what they accuse Trump of. Oh, he criticized Boasberg. That's horrible. Democrats would have criticized Boasberg if he ruled against them and then said, and now changed the rules so he could no longer be in office. Here's Hakeem Jeffries, leader of the Democrats in the House.
Period of time, we do have these structural problems that need to be addressed. We've got to, for instance, make sure we pass the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act so we can end the era of voter suppression in the United States of America once and for all. We have to end Citizens United, dramatically reform our campaign finance laws to stop the ability of these deep-pocketed special interests to intervene. And we are going to have to explore massive judicial reform, state by state and at the federal level, and everything should be on the table as far as I'm concerned.
Massive judicial reform with everything on the table. What do you think he means? Wait, what's that? What's the judicial reform? What do you think they mean? Now, this is another we're watching two movies. It's like, how many times have I talked to some left-winger and they'll be like, yeah, you're right, Rob. The media is so biased. CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, they're all pro-Trump. They're all too biased for Trump. And you're just flabbergasted. You're like, what? Oh my gosh, they're way too favorable to Trump. They're just rags that are pro-Trump rags. The New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, yeah. It's the same here. We watch these judges all across the fucking country with these absurd rulings against Trump. Democrats get a Supreme Court, a couple rulings that go against their way, and one in Virginia, and they're like, we need to change the whole fucking system. They're supposed to be on our side. The courts are supposed to do what we want. And if they won't, well then fuck them. We'll remove them all. We'll pack the courts. We'll do whatever the fuck we have to. But we're not abiding by the rulings of the courts. That we won't do. These are people that use these fucking courts as a bludgeon. Roe v. Wade, anyone? As a fucking bludgeon. That's what the court said. Look at how when I talk to people like Brian Shaprio, all that matters is what Trump's a 37-time felon. That's it. They found him guilty. Trump's liable for sexual assault with Ejon Carroll. That's it. Court said it. That's what the jury said. That's what the court said. That's it. Okay, court said this shit, right? No, this is different. These are corrupt courts. How is this not anti-democratic? Now watch the Democrats make all the same fucking arguments that you've heard people like me make. We're not a democracy. How's it anti-democratic? The people voted this way. Okay, the people voted against gay marriage. People voted against giving illegals benefits. You didn't give a fuck. You didn't care. That's unconstitutional. Doesn't matter. Now take the Virginia issue just to see how fucking authoritarian and insane they are. Take the Virginia issue. The Virginia court did not say you can't redistrict. They said the way in which you tried to do it was against the Virginia Constitution. Go back, follow the proper procedure, and redistrict. Now, listen. I'm no genius on these things, but let's use our head for a minute. Let's assume that there's two strategies that we've heard the Virginia Democrats are going to try to do. One, lower the maximum age of judges to 52. Why 52? Well, because the one judge is 53. So you got to make it just below that so you have an excuse to get rid of them all. Then pack it with 7 judges that will rule your way. I don't know if they would just reverse the decision. I don't think they could do that. They need a case. So you'd have to resubmit the case and the map and then have them rule. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is you go back and say that the 2020 Virginia law that was voted on that allowed the reshaping of the maps in the first place is not a good law. So you scrap that law and then redo the maps, survive court challenge. Under both of these scenarios, you and the audience tell me, doesn't it sound like that's going to take a reasonable amount of time? At least a few months? They're not going to get this done in a week. They're not going to get it done, period. But even if they were to try, you're talking a few months at minimum. At that point, it will be too late to redistrict for the 2026 midterms. So then why even go through it? Why even suggest this? On one hand, you could try these outrageous authoritarian policies that will result in you not getting this map in 2026. Or on the other hand, you could just listen to the court and say, okay, let's go through the proper channels and not get the map in 2026. But you ain't getting the map in 2026 because you fucked up because you did it illegally. So why go through the point? It's all about punishment and intimidation and authoritarianism. Oh, what's that? Courts? You ruled against us? Fuck you. We'll remove you. You're going to be out of a job. That'll teach Democrat-appointed justices, or any justice for that matter, around the country. Don't you fucking go against Democrats. We'll leak the decision. We'll allow rioters to go right outside your house, or protesters, even after assassination attempts. We'll threaten to move you all out. We'll say we're going to reform the whole country. The courts. Now, here's another problem why they're so frustrated. If they went through the proper procedures and then re-put this map out for a vote to the people of Virginia, they may lose. They didn't win by that much the first time, and this time there's 2 things going against them. One, they won't be able to have the bullshit language that's like, trust us, this is for fairness. They put that language in there for a reason because they knew low information voters were likely to be like, oh, that sounds good. And secondly, there's going to be an awful lot of people pissed off. Wait a minute. The court just ruled that that was illegal? Now you guys are trying to slapdash do it again? No, fuck all that. So they may lose if they try to re-put this up. In effect, the globalist message has been, and I've had this debate with people for a long time, is this: democracy, democracy, democracy. When the truth is they're anything but. Forget about democracy means one person, one vote. Just accept democracy as this. Sort of the will of the people, that their voice has something to do with their government. Mike Benz talks about this. When you hear these institutions say democracy, they don't mean I get a voice, you get a voice, the old lady down the street that's a Democrat gets a voice, my dad gets a voice, the janitor gets a voice. That's not what they mean by democracy. If all those people get a vote and it works out the way that these establishment people want, good, great. That's easiest. But what if not? When they say democracy, this is what they mean. You have all of these groups that are the groups with power. And they're not all in agreement. Not always. So you might have the Intel community. And you might have big tech. And you might have the academic community. And you might have Democrats in Congress. And you might have certain NGOs. And you might have organizations like the UN. Whatever. When they say democracy, that's what they mean. All of those groups, voice mattering. And guess what? You ain't in those groups. So you don't fucking matter. In fact, that's how you could have things that on paper are more democratic that the establishment says is anti-democracy. For example, who voted on Roe v. Wade in 70s? Who voted on abortion? Wasn't the people. No, it was the court. The court said there's a right to it. If the court had not ruled in, then it would have been up to the people to vote on it in each state. But the court said, no, you don't get to vote on it. It's a right. So when Roe v. Wade was overturned, you may have been pissed off if you were a Democrat. Fair enough. But the attack that they used was it was anti-democratic, which was the exact opposite of the truth. I personally don't put huge value on democratic principles, but they do. They claim to. Okay, so then why is democratic principle? Well, we all need to have a share in the vote. Then how is it overturning Roe v. Wade a great thing? Now all the people get to vote. Formerly they didn't. All of a sudden, giving people a vote on it, no, that's somehow anti-democratic. Or it was anti-democratic to have misinformation online. Excuse me? How could allowing people to talk and have their own opinions be anti-democratic? We must censor the very people that we claim to need to support for democracy. They must be censored. They must not have a voice for democracy. Doesn't make sense, right? Until you realize you don't factor into that equation. The average person isn't part of their democracy. Their democracy is the institutions with power and them having control. And if you and people like you become a hindrance to that, then that's anti-democratic. That's their position. Now you'll see the same play out here. All of this shit they said was an attack on our democracy. They're going to suggest doing it without blinking an eye. And the mainstream media is just going to go along with it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe you should change this law. Maybe you should pack the court. Yep, whatever it takes. All the shit. If the Democrats in 2028 put forth slates of alternate electors, every motherfucker that told you how that was the most evil thing ever would say, yeah, well, the way the Democrats did it was good. And, the Republicans are destroying the country and we're going to end up at war. And they're protecting Epstein people, so we have to do it. Without batting an eye, 90% of them would completely jump ship and be like, yep. Remember Brexit? Remember that? Remember the Libson Treaty? The globalists like, yeah, let the people vote. And then the people voted and like, we don't like you, globalists. And they're like, that's not going to work for us. Sorry. That was just symbolic. We didn't really mean that you have a voice. All right. And if there's nothing we can do, then fuck it. We'll make your life hell until you eventually come around to our way of thinking. That's democracy. That's what they think. So, for example, European Union in Romania basically got them to cancel an election because a populist right-winger won. They were like, nope, he was backed by Russia. Redo your election. Okay. Then the left wing won, and they went, there, that's fair. See how that works? You get to vote, and if you vote in a way they don't like, then redo it. Or then we're just going to ignore it anyways. Fuck you. Democracy, right? They all tout democracy. Democracy is about leaving the people have a voice, right? Let's turn our attention to the UK. Labour, historic loss, as I talked about earlier. 83% of seats they were defending, they lost. They could quite well, in 2 to 4 years, cease to exist as a party. One of the two major parties in the country. Keir Starmer may well be forced out. He's the head of labor. What's he going to do? Is he going to resign? We don't know. Here's the speech he gives. You ready? It's longer, but here's the part I want to listen to.
They want more grievance politics, more division, more pointing.
Let's see if I can find a louder. If we have to work with that, we will. So here's a couple clips. This one's louder.
Now, other parties will draw different lessons. In fact, they already are, more pointing at Britain's problems, looking not for solutions, but for someone to blame. Now, that's fine if it's me, if it's politicians, that's the job. But increasingly, it's not. It's other people in this country. And I don't think that's British. That is not the decency and respect that we are known for. But it's here. That politics is with us now. And you'll see it again on Saturday at a march designed to confront and intimidate this diversity and this diverse country. That is why this Labour government will block far-right agitators from travelling to Britain for that event. Because we will not allow people to come to the UK to threaten our communities.
All right, so let's diagnose what was just said here. Now you have this left-wing establishment government get their ass handed to them. So instead of the guy coming out hat in hand saying, I failed, people are pissed, I get it, I'm going to resign or I'm going to stay and we're going to try to make changes, what's he do? Back to the same fucking position that got him in where he's at now. Attacking anyone who disagrees with him. You're disrespectful. You're basically a racist. Have a problem with all of these immigrants we foisted onto you? Well, you're the problem. Then you're not British. You're not British. The Muslim guy from Pakistan in the grooming gangs. That's a true Brit. Not you, because you complain about it. That's division. That's not respectful. That's how they got their ass kicked in the first place. Because it turns out telling people that are watching their communities go down the shitter like this is they've been gaslit for 30 fucking years about it, particularly in the past 20 and 15. Telling them that they're shithead, racist, and disrespectful ain't a winning message. So he doubles down, okay? Then what's he say? They're going to have a march this Saturday. Tommy Robinson, God bless him, having a march about mass migration. Now, the Muslims can march any fucking time they want in the United Kingdom. Happily so. And woe unto anyone who protests that. Your ass is going to prison. But if you want to have a march, well, that could be dangerous. That could piss off the Muslims and make them commit acts of violence against you. And that, too, is your fault. So what's he do for my democracy? Will intentionally not allow people from outside the country into the country to attend the protest. Sounds like democracy, right? If you don't like a policy in our country and you want to join in solidarity, a protest, fuck you. No. Do you think if I wanted as an American to fly to go in some protest against climate change, Keir Starmer would allow it? Of course he would allow it. You think if I wanted to go and join a protest for more migration and for Muslims, he would allow it? Of course they would allow it. That's democracy. They've canceled elections in the United Kingdom for bullshit reasons because they know labor is going to get their ass kicked. Oh, we can't have the election. There's infrastructure issues. Sorry, we got to put it off for another 2 years. Sounds like democracy, right? That's always been my favorite thing. When you talk to these Democrats, this is like, or these left-wingers, this is how it'll always go. Well, can you imagine, like, if some right-wing populist figure like Trump, like, delayed elections or something? Oh, you mean like it's happening in the United Kingdom? Oh, that's for a good reason. Can you imagine all of a sudden if right-wing populists, powerful countries started interfering in other countries' elections and said, nope, we don't recognize that until a right-winger wins? You mean like actually is happening? Can you imagine if Trump's team got FISA warrants despite his opponents? You mean like actually happened against him? Their fear is always, what if you guys do the same shit we did to you? Wouldn't that be horrible? And so many of us fall for it. It's the old Norm Macdonald joke. My biggest fear is that ISIS or Al Qaeda or Boko Haram will get their hands on a dirty bomb and detonate it over a major U.S. city and kill 2 million people. Because then imagine the backlash against the Muslims. Yeah. Same thing. That's the Democrat. They don't even look at you like you're evil. Or you're maybe an individual that they like, so you're not evil. You're just misled into voting for evil people. Not like them. So all these tactics they employ against you, if it was ever employed against them, they would truly be like, wait, what? I see these videos all the time. It's like, you'll see some woman, and she'll like, they'll be filming it, and she'll like punch a dude, and then the dude will smack her back. And 90% of the time, the woman looks like there's a brief moment of like, it never even crossed that woman's mind that this guy might hit back. Like, ever. And she's appalled. She's like, how could you do that? I saw one of them today. Let's see if I can find this. I probably won't be able to find the one I was. But this woman, just big as shit, comes up to this guy in the parking lot. Give me that phone. Give me that phone. Give me that phone. And you can see her bringing back her fist, hitting him. And he just gives her a hit and she falls. And immediately she's like, stay right there. I'm calling the police. You can't do that. That's like your average Democrat voter. Man, you guys changed the laws just to try to arrest Donald Trump. Never in history have we gone after a former president. And not only, you guys changed laws. You went after the most nebulous shit. Yeah, it was all good. Orange man bad. All good. And then they'll look at you in straight face. What if Trump goes after his opponents? That's what you motherfuckers did. Yeah, but he was guilty. Okay, maybe your guy's guilty too. Fuck off. Just for 1 month, I would love to see the restrictions placed on left-wingers online that we had to go through like during COVID, during 2021. Couldn't talk about fucking COVID. Couldn't talk about the 2020 election. Shadow bannings, demonetizations, community strikes on almost all social media. Fuck, you used to be able to get banned on Twitch for saying there were only 2 genders. I would love to fucking see it enforced in the same way it was on us to them for 1 fucking month. Oh my God, it would be a fucking crisis. As we speak, the fucking EU is attempting to fine X into oblivion because they allow free speech. Tens of thousands of people a year are arrested in the United Kingdom for saying mean things online. Now I gotta listen to Democrat. Trump's so anti-First Amendment. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear your complaints. You didn't have fuck all to say. Well, the Twitter files were bullshit. Technically, the government never officially said to censor. They just strongly suggested things be corrected, and they used NGO cutouts and things like that. None of that's illegal. They're allowed to suggest. Okay. So I say we play the same game. Democrats out there talking about mass judicial reform, removing justices that don't vote for them. Worst attack on our democracy since 9/11. Start getting their phone calls, subpoena their emails, see who they're talking to, start disbarring lawyers. That's how we play the game, right? That's how we do it. If they refuse to disbar, then see what federally you could do. Now let's bring it back to the beginning. This is where the vote Democrat. Do you understand what they're going to do? I'm not necessarily the happiest with some of the shit that's going on with Republicans or Trump either. Do you understand where we're at? I didn't like fucking Bush. I'll tell you right now. I can't remember if I voted third party or if I didn't. I think I wrote in Ron Paul's name in 2008 and 2012. If I voted, I can't even remember. If I had to go back and say, if I could have took a little more interest and mustered the vote to prevent Obama, I think it would have been key. I think Obama was an unmitigated disaster that leads us to the activist path we're at today. But even that, they weren't blatantly announcing their plans like they are now. Yeah, we're going to pack the fucking court. Of course. Why the urgency? Because they know the House of Cards has a good chance. Now, Trump might fuck it up. Republicans might fuck it up. Let's not kid ourselves. There's a lot of Republicans that are probably doing a little insider trading or getting a little kickback here or there. They don't want to see that shit. Because if they start to see Democrats going down, so there's a lot of sabotage of people that don't want to see this go down. But there's a chance, and Trump might fuck it up. There's a chance that this whole house of cards could come crumbling. And unlike the Democrats, here's where I'm at. Turns out that Trump's involved in this or Republicans are involved, fuck them. No problem. Here's James Garmaville. Big Clinton guy, one of the behind-the-scenes people, used to be very influential with the Democratic Party, and he's still influential, though. Here he goes.
If the Democrats win the presidency in both houses of Congress, I think on day one, they should make Puerto Rico, D.C. a state. They should expand the Supreme Court to 13. Eat our dust. The only way to fight this is don't run on it, don't talk about it, just do it. Just, okay, we got 54 senators and we got 13 court members. Thank you. Goodbye. Because you're not going to get a fair shake any kind of way in this system. 18% of the United States elects 52 senators. Well, you're not going to make it equitable, but you'll make it better by adding Puerto Rico and D.C.
Right. So just blow up the country. The exact thing that was too radical.
Now, these are the people that were pissed about alternate electors that were designed to cause a delay so we could actually look and see if the 2020 election results were legitimate. That would destroy the country. By the way, I was not a fan of the alternate electors. I just didn't think it was the biggest deal in the world, like the Democrats did. Their policies, as always, more radical. What was a bigger threat to our country? Trump suggesting alternate electors or Hillary's team cooperating with the FBI that then used the information they were feeding her that was misinformation to illegally spy on the Trump team? What hurt the incoming administration more? So just remember, all the people, and there's a lot of them, you go to social media, you see a lot of these lefties I debate, a lot of them are quiet right now because they don't know what to say. A lot of them are like, yes, pack the court, of course. These are the motherfuckers that were screaming their head off about how Trump's a threat to democracy. All of the institutional advantages there. Remember, one of my all-time favorite clips. By the way, I wish the search feature was better under the bookmark, search bookmarks. Probably have it saved somewhere. Remember what I told you all the time? You'd talk to people and you'd say, man, it's fucking ridiculous. Democrats basically have control of like 90 to 95% of our media, 95% of social media. It's ridiculous. And Democrats you would talk to is like, totally agree with you, man. It is ridiculous. Why isn't it 100%? And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, it's so unfair. We only have 95% control. That's not right. That's terrible. That's anti-democratic. We need 100% control. That's all that's acceptable. Remember Ari Shafir over here? Remember this? One of my, Ari Melber, I'm sorry. Ari Melber, remember him? He's going to tell you way back in the day. Can you imagine how damaging it would be if Elon Musk buys Twitter? Think of the horrors that could happen. Ready?
You own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates, all of its nominees, or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election. Elon Musk says this is all to help people because he is just a free speech, philosophically clear, open-minded helper.
Now, here's the thing. That guy's not smart enough. That guy's not smart enough to be like Machiavellian and in on the game. That guy's a true believer. Or at least he knows what he's supposed to say. He truly feels that way, though. Like, oh my goodness, can you imagine? And like, if you sat down and were like, that's exactly what happened in the inverse under the old Twitter ownership. He'd be like, well, but, you know, that was well-deserved. That was good. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, what if they banned, like, the president, the Democratic president? Yes, that's what they did to Trump. Well, yeah, but that was warranted. Yeah, Ari Shafir, the amazing racist. Different dude altogether, yeah. For years, we talked about the censorship in social media. Private company, fuck you, suck it up. Oh my goodness. And I told you, I said, it's not that they're worried that they'll do to you what they've done to you, or you'll do to them what they've done to you. It's they're worried that you're going to stop them from doing that. That enough is unfair. Fuck you. We should be allowed to gerrymander. We should be allowed to pack the courts. We should be allowed to say elections aren't so. 30% I saw of Democrats still say the Butler assassination attempt was fake. We should be allowed to do all that, but not you. We should be allowed to wiretap our opponents. We should be allowed to lock up people for political disagreements. But if you do it, holy shit. So this is just example 10 million of the latest thing that the Democrats and the establishment, all these fucking people will gnash their teeth and scream and fucking yell about. They don't give a shit. It's a lie. It's all fake. They don't fucking care. None of them ever cared about, like, well, you can't insult Supreme Court justices. You have to listen to the decisions. They don't give a fuck. As soon as it goes the way they don't like, they're like, fuck it, pack the court, get rid of all these motherfuckers. They're all terrible. They're all racist. So stop taking them serious. On Keir Starmer, here's a guy I saw. Sums it up nicely.
It's utterly ridiculous. In this country, we have had people marching and protesting for Palestine, for Iran, expressing sympathy for Hezbollah, for Hamas. We've got marches and demonstrations for LGBTQ+. We've had demos and protests for Black Lives Matter. The hundreds of thousands of people that are marching, protesting peacefully to express their concern about how immigration is changing this country. And remember that survey just a few days ago, Michelle. 51% of all people in this country, including nearly 1 in 3 black and minority ethnic people in this country, say they feel like a stranger in Britain because of immigration. They have every right to protest. And we saw it with the flags too. You can fly every flag in this country except the Union, and the St. George's flag. You can fly a Palestine flag. You can fly a pride flag, a trans flag. The councils will let you do that. But if you fly one of our national flags, you watch them tear them down. What we see in this country is two-tier multiculturalism. If you happen to belong to a minority group, you can promote your identity, your culture, your way of life, your particular thing. But if you belong to the majority in this country, you are not allowed. You are stigmatized. You are discredited, and you are called far right.
Here's the poll. My bad, I undersold it. 42% think that it was staged of Democrats. 34% say the White House correspondent. Four out of 10 Democrats think that the Butler assassination attempt that literally led to a man dying was staged. Where's all the talk of misinformation? I don't hear that. I don't hear the left talking about that. You bet your damn ass if it would have been Kamala Harris or Joe Biden that there was an assassination attempt, the Democrats would have been thumping their chest every day. All of this disinformation online. But it's Trump, and they're just like, oh, well, somehow the real victim will be Jimmy Kimmel, I guess. Here's more on Hakeem Jeffries and supposedly the phone call that he had about the
leaked account of a call between Virginia House members and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Here's a part of it. Quote, the most dramatic idea they discussed, which would involve an unusual gambit to replace the entire state Supreme Court with a goal of reinstating their gerrymandered map, drew mixed reactions on the call.
Unusual gambit, says the New York Times. How about you treat that like you treated alternate electors, like it's a crime, right? Oh, it's an unusual gambit when Democrats are doing it.
Oh, boy, that leaked? So they can't even all agree on this. The desperate move. 7 justices sit on Virginia's Supreme Court with staggered terms stretching years into the future. Lowering the retirement age would force vacancies, opening the door to refill the bench. The headline for Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley's op-ed is this: angry left plots to purge Virginia's high court. He was on Fox last hour.
These radical ideas are nothing new, but I think the public needs to understand that many of these same voices have been saying publicly that they will pack the Supreme Court as well.
They're going to change the makeups of courts, of how we vote, of who they give citizenship to, of who's allowed into the country to ensure that they never lose. Or to make it so much that the Republican side needs to move so far to their side that it's a horse apiece and they win either way. That's what's happening. And people are fucking about, well, I don't like Trump, so fuck it. Vote Democrat. What do you think a packed court's going to say about your right to protest and have a channel and talk about the failures of a democratic government online? When the next pandemic comes and you want to protest and say, this is bullshit, why are they locking us down? What do you think a packed Democrat court's going to say about your right to voice your displeasure about that? And then what are we going to do when all of a sudden 10,000, 15,000 Americans are being locked up a year for bitching about the government online or bitching about their country being taken away from them? We say, at least we stood on principle. That's where the stakes are. This isn't hyperbole. This is them openly saying, this is what we're going to do. All right, let's read some more super chats here. Sauls, thanks so much. $10 says, VA resident, last month listening to my leftist father-in-law, who has bemoaned gerrymandering for years, suddenly defends something he knows is wrong purely because of TDS was wild. Fuck them all. Yep, exactly. Car Camp, $5 says, what you talk about, Jeffries? No one step back. Thank you. And then T-Jenks, $20. Thanks, man. Says, Rob, I always wondered if they did this Puerto Rico DC senator thing, if some conservative states would ever split into two states. I think it just takes a state legislator in U.S. Congress and not Senate to vote on this. I'd have to look up the procedure of who needs to vote on the addition of a new state. Now, I do have a palate cleanser for you, for our feminist friends. This is one of the funniest clips I've seen. So I want to show this. This is an all-time hilarious clip. Any of you racing fans out there? Any fans of motorsports? Well, there was this clip that I saw. I don't consider myself a huge racing fan, but this a racist. This is one of the all-time best clips. I don't know if you guys saw this, but feminism for the win. Here you go. Enjoy.
I mean, they look great out there. Not that I'm shocked. I'm not saying women cannot drive or they curb wheels all the time or anything like that. I'm definitely not saying that they're not as good at drivers as us. I'm not saying that we're better. I'm just saying I'm shocked.
Wow.
Oh, they followed
They're following the pace truck. They followed the pace truck.
No way!
All 11 moms followed the pace truck.
No
Stop
way.
it, dude. Stop it. No, they didn't.
Again, I'm not saying
they
we're
did
better.
not follow the pace truck. All right, 1 to go this time by.
There's no way that's ever happened before.
You have got to be kidding me. They followed the
So they're doing you gotta say, oh, it's not that men are better drivers than women. It's not that. In case you missed what happened, there's a pace car when there's a caution, and you have to stay behind it, and then the pace car goes off the track, and then you start racing. Every one of these women drivers just followed the pace car down the pace car track. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then he has to oh, I'm not saying women. Oh my gosh, that's never happened. He's laughing his ass up but still. I thought that was an all-timer, man. I was like, yes, that's really good. Very good. Mr. Zach Gelpy said, Rob didn't give the Groyper $20. Thank you. Says, Rob, didn't the Groypers vote for the Dems in 2024? Nick did. He did. Honestly, I think most of them are not in the U.S. in their mother's basement, so we shouldn't really be worried about it. I'm not. Here's what I will say. I'm going to try to play nice for the following reason. Any vote that could be for us as opposed to Democrats is an equivalent to votes. And I'm trying to reach out just like I do to all groups all the time. Right now, that's the easiest groups to go after. And there is a second category of which I talked about earlier in the show. Forget about them. There are people that voted for Trump and Republicans that are upset and they're considering voting Democrat. And so I'm trying my best to make the case why I still think it's worth highlighting that this administration is still worthwhile. And that, furthermore, that it's even worse what we'd be staring down the barrel of with a Democrat administration. But yeah, you're right. Chop. Holy cow, what a legend. $100. I'm just trying to gerrymander some whip bylaws. Goodness gracious. You guys, your whip bylaws and this, that, and the other. Good Lord. I saw this Democrat mayor out in California got arrested and pleaded guilty to working with the communist Chinese government. That's great. Worthwhile, yeah, it is our only hope, yeah. Where would we be on this gerrymandering conversation had Kamala Harris won? Where would we be if Trump never wins in 16 and instead we have Mitt Romney as the leader, de facto leader, or Jeb Bush? Where would we be on these conversations? Where would we be on the border? I get it. I'm not the biggest interventionist, and I'm not the biggest fan of this Iran conflict. It's weird now. We might as well talk about this. I was going to start wrapping up, but let's talk about this for a minute. If it was up to me, unless there's some sort of evidence that is very compelling that I haven't seen, I would have never went here. I think the focus on foreign policy is overwhelmed what were significant domestic issues where there's some marginal wins, but there could have been a lot more. I think it's caused increase in prices, particularly in fuel prices, that's going to drag down the economy. But consider this. Like the people that are like I saw someone saying it in the chat earlier, we've just lost. Trump lost this war. How? In what way? Iran's strategy is the same as it's always been. Hold out and hope that it becomes domestically unpopular enough to where Trump has to pull out. He hasn't yet. No, it may very well be that it ends up that Trump declares some symbolic victory and nothing really changed in Iran other than a bunch of their former leadership being taken out. But at this point, as someone who wasn't a fan of going, I have to admit, my feelings on this, and the same with Biden, I am vehemently pro-America, period. Yeah, but Rob, you're letting America be ran by Israel. Whatever. If we're going to go, we have to win. Now, what does that mean? Obviously, that means different things to different people. But if Iran's just like, no, go fuck yourself. No, we give you nothing, basically. Part of me is like, okay. Then I get Trump being like, all right, then we're going to fuck you up more. I mean, what else is there to say? And it's evident that there were people cheering for the United States to lose, to come back and give Iran everything they want. How is Iran winning? I don't get that. The win condition is just they're holding out until the United States decides to come home. Now, I'm well aware that you might say I don't trust the numbers. What are we looking at? Still 13 U.S. service members killed? Terrible. But keep it in perspective. On an average month, just in accidents in the U.S. military, we have about 20 service members killed. So I don't know. The people that are like if you say it's a disaster domestically, it's from that I get, and I'm largely in agreement. But as far as the losing the war, in what way? We didn't win it as fast as you would have wanted? Okay. I predict Trump won't get everything he wants. That there will be enough domestic as we get closer to the midterms. If this is still dragging on, there's going to be enough domestic anger at this that he's going to look for a way out. And that it won't be the big win condition that if he didn't have to worry about elections, that he'd probably really put the screws to them and be like, fuck you, we'll stay here 6 months if we have to. I don't think that's going to happen. Well, the strait still isn't open. Does that mean Iran's winning? We'll see. But it's evident that there are people like, I don't fucking like the... No, it doesn't mean it... Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Brilliant. Yep, Iran's winning because the strait's open. Wow, with astute political thinking like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it ends up. I still don't like the fact we went. But I feel like, even with Biden, right? I'm the type of person that when there is a military action, I'm still cheering for us to do as good as possible. And it's obvious that there are people like, I didn't like this war, so I hope we're embarrassed and we lose. And they probably want Iran's leadership to go back. And there's a lot of people, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong in the audience. There's a lot of Trump haters that want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. Tell me I'm wrong. I've seen it. I've debated them. Why shouldn't Iran have one? Israel's evil. They have one. I think it'd be a disaster. Now, I understand. If I'm Team Iran, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, we want a bomb. But, I mean, it is evident that there are people just straight up, and I think a lot of it has to do with like a delusion on Israel that I'll give you a hot take. You ready? You want a hot take? You know how they're on the left, there's all these people that really fucking hate the United States and they hate white people and people of European ancestry. And they don't say it, but a lot of it, the open border shit's like, good. Fuck these white people. Fuck this country. This country's evil. It's horrible. You deserve this. Right? We all agree that that happens on the left. Anyone here disagree? Most of them don't say it. That's what's going on. When you talk to people about reparations, a lot of it, it's about revenge. It's not about... Well, here's the deal. I think there are a healthy portion of the dissident right. If you told them this, what if the United States of America would completely collapse and be under the rule of, say, China or some other country, but it also meant that Israel would cease to exist? I think they'd take it in a heartbeat. They'd be like, yes! Their hatred of Israel is so great that they would cheer for the destruction of the United States if it meant taking down Israel. I think that absolutely exists. I'm not saying everyone, but I definitely think, and so that's why you can see the people, sure, leave Iran, get the bomb. They just don't give a fuck. They'd probably take a nuclear detonation in like a U.S. city if it also meant that there was a detonation in Jerusalem. So there's only so much you could do at that point. Like, you're not going to reach those people. It's like, okay, whatever. But, all right. Now, before we move on to the next portion of the show, I am going to try tomorrow at noon Eastern time to do a call-in show. That's right. The old call-in shows. We're going to try to bring it back. Now, let me explain why the call-in shows went away. 2 reasons. 1, it's a lot of fucking streaming, right? If I do the call-in show, it's usually 2.5 hours. Then I would be many days doing the extravaganza. That's another hour plus prep for it. Then I'd come on here and stream 2 to 3 hours at night. It literally was taking up my whole day. And I was starting to get burned out because a lot of times the issues you talk about in the call-in show are also the issues you're going to talk about in the show in the evening. And so there's only so much political commentary to come up with. So that was reason 1. But I was still going to do the show. The other reason was I'm not going to fucking mince words. I'll tell you straight up. There were people in communities that don't like me and want my community to be eliminated. That's what they want. And so they're sabotaging call-in shows by coming on and either straight up saying things that are against TOS or just ruining it by being trolls. Which made it so I ended up getting copyright strikes. I ended up, you can see my views going down because I was probably getting mass reported. So I couldn't take a chance. I'll be straight up with you. That's cost me a significant amount of viewership, I think. There's somewhat of a different audience that watches during the day and that likes to call in. It was a different form of show. And I also would make a reasonable amount of money. And that's gone. I had to give that up. Because certain communities who have the fucking arrogance to then get fucking litigious. Hate raids over to me after telling trolls to come over, then literally hate raids over. To which their audience is proudly saying, we're going to get your channel banned. And then they went into effort doing that. So, that's the game. That's how the game's played. Hey, it worked. Congratulations. I lost a shitload of money. Our community that really liked those shows are unable to do them anymore, motherfuckers. But hey, that's how it works, right? I was willing enough to leave well enough alone, but now that I'm getting sued, maybe I'll have to return the favor. Unlike the bullshit I'm being accused of, I can actually point to actual fucking damages and malicious intent. Yeah, I'm being sued for $150,000. The fucking Sarah Tomato. So, my workaround that I'm going to try to do, I'm going to start the show at noon, and it's going to be on all the places I stream. By the way, I'm trying to fix Kick, right? I am. I don't know what's the problem. All right, I can show you right now. You ready? I can show you what's going on with Kick. Ready? Type in Kick. That's what comes up. And I already have an account, and it's asking me to do a new account. And it won't leave me in the position where it will leave me say cancel out. When I try to cancel out, it just always brings me back to that screen. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. I got to work on that. But what we're going to do is we're going to start the show. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Rumble. It's going to be on X. It's going to be on Twitch. Right? Then we'll bullshit like we used to for 20, 25 minutes. I'll tell you some topics that I have. I'm going to put the StreamYard link in YouTube. We're going to leave people start to fill up. And then I'm going to tell everyone like 20, 25 minutes. The YouTube show is ending. This is it. You all have to go over to Rumble. The link will be up on Rumble as well. And the YouTube show is going to end. Because on Rumble, if they decide to come on and spam the N-word or shit like that, then I'm not going to lose my Rumble channel. Rumble's a bit more understanding. Now, ultimately, I'm not stupid. I know this will lead to less people watching and less people participating. I get that, but I don't know what else to do at this point.
We'll talk tonight.
Okay. So that's the issue.
I have a workaround. We'll do what the potato does. We can actually set a staging area in the Discord. I'll show you.
We will not be doing that, and I'll explain to Aver as well. So I do not have the staff to do that. So that's what we're going to try tomorrow. That's going to be at noon Eastern time. You'll be able to call in, and you could yell at me and say I'm an idiot, or you could agree. Now, I have a hard out because I have to pick my son up at 2:30. I have to leave. So the earlier you call in, the better. Oftentimes what used to happen on these call-in shows, the people would watch it would see, first call, there'd only be one call. We'd talk for 20 minutes. And then halfway through the show, 7 people would get in the queue. And now it's like, well, I only got an hour left. And it's not the type of thing where it's like, oh, I'm having a good conversation. I could keep it going. I literally have to go pick my son up at school. So that's what it is. So, anyways, that's the plan. We're going to try the call-in show tomorrow. If you like those, try to support it. And the better we do, the more views we have, the more money we raise, the more likely I'll be to do those in the future. But the plan for the short term is to do it every Tuesday and Thursday. The great Flavius, $100 says convictions come with a price. Stay based, Rob. Thank you. Thank you so much. By the way, on that lawsuit, obviously taking attorney's advice, not saying much. As things proceed, I will be sure to keep people abreast of what's going on. But yeah, that's all I have to say at that point about it. But I promise, win or lose this lawsuit, whatever the case will be, there will come a time, unless I'm very against the idea of signing any sort of statement that says that I can't talk about it. Because win or lose, I want to talk about it. I think there's a 99.9% chance I'm going to win. But until that day comes, I'm going to basically not say much. So, because I think a fundamental mistake a lot of people do is they end up talking about the case more than they should publicly, which could only harm any sort of chances you have. So that's it. But I know people ask me all the time. That's what's going on. More super chats. The Great Intel Wild, $2 says, Sarah, the aging tomato. Careful. Don't get sued. All right. Well, we've come to this point in the show where we play dumb whip songs. Now, you may be wondering, why do you play dumb whip songs? I could give you the long version. I'll just explain it like this. Because my audience, it's like they're an older brother to me, and they're like, give me a wet willy. They don't want other people to beat me up, but they like tormenting me. Remember, did you ever play the game Monkey in the Middle growing up? Right, where you put like a short kid in the center and then you'd throw like a ball back and forth over their head and watch this little poor bastard try to get the ball. That's basically it. Yeah, Lobster, call in tomorrow, man. I'd love to hear from you. That's basically it. The audience is like the guy's throwing the ball and I'm the monkey jumping around and everyone's laughing. But like if the neighbor kid comes and like shoves me to the ground, then the audience would be like, hey, what the fuck? You can't do that. But we're going to fuck with him. That's basically it. That's basically what's going on. So every $100 donation spins the whip wheel. This stupid whip song that we have a bunch of versions. $150 donation means you get to choose whatever song you want. And a $200 donation, you could actually create a new song in the style of your choice. It has to be the whip song lyrics, so don't worry, I'll take care of that. Also, at this point forward, we're at $408. So at this point, you also get a whip song if we cross an even $100 barrier. So we'll get a song crossing 500, 600, etc. So if you donated right now $92 or $91.01, that would be one whip song. If you donate $100, that would be two whip songs. One for the individual $100 donation and one for taking us across 500. The only other rule worth saying is if we get to $1,000, it's a free Disney whip song.
What
which
if you
sucks.
donate $609 right now? That's a whip song, a Disney whip song, right?
Well, it would be $600 theoretically would be 12 whip songs plus a Disney whip song. So that'd be 13.
That's 12 whip songs for $600. Wade Boggs, clip that.
Yeah. When did I say I owed a free whip song? You sons of bitch. All right, anyways, that's the stupidity. Siege Bright, thanks much. $5 says, I hadn't heard about the Sarah Tomato thing. Guess I better catch up. Oh, should have hired you as an attorney. Your Honor, instead of putting a valid defense up, we're just going to make a bunch of tomato puns. That's our strategy. It's good stuff. All right. So far, I only owe 1, 2, 3 whip songs. So unless anyone else donates, we'll get out early tonight. I'm fine with that too. Here we go. The first stupid song of the night. What sort of stupidity will we find ourselves in tonight? Let's do it. Yay! I feel like a funk head. All right, here we go. Funk. What the fuck does that even mean?
We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Land says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all the we're gonna march all day, united and more for the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a way, 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 there's a way. Left, right. On the back says we're gonna fight, we're gonna march all day and night and more for we are the slayers of the Dark World.
How's this still going? Just keep going on and on. All right. 2 more. What's that even mean?
ends of the Dark Lord's war.
Last one, mercifully. Let's go out with a bang. Oh, wow. Nice. Wow, this is part of the night where I'd say, yeah, I'm done. That's it. But no, Blasterbot, the rotten bastard. Thank you, you legend. Thank you, Blasterbot. $100 says, hey, Rob, when'd you start streaming? I almost missed you. Thank you, sir. Though I will say the lack of dino factoid there. A bit disturbing. All right, that's two more. Let's try to make them not dumb ones. I mean, they're all dumb, but less dumb. Can we do that? 1950s rock. You need $92 to get to the next one. 1950s rock. Is this the one that sounds like Elvis?
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, where they go to war today. The Lord of the last says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. With the left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. With the crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Oh, last one. Oh, my goodness. There we go. Ah, the Jurassic Jamboree. Would you believe that Blasterbot created this one? I know, it sounds crazy, right? But totally true.
There's a way. There's always there's a way. There's always there's a way. There's always there's a way. Left, 2, 3. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a
Hey! Oh. Did we do it? We did it! I think that'll be it tonight. I don't think anyone else is going to donate. We're going to get out of here peacefully at 12:35. Not too shabby of an hour. 12:35. There's a lot of good things you could still do at 12:35. You could get a shower, play a game of chess or two on the phone. I go on runs in chess. Like, I'm right around 1,300. I'll have my moments. I'll have like 7, 8 wins in a row, and then I'll lose like 9 in a row. I don't know what the hell's going on. You know what I can do? You know what I should do? I do owe one more song. A freebie of sorts, but not really. Now, every month we are going to do a Chad of the month, where you're just the best. You're the Chad of the month. And this month, the winner was the great Jim Hayes. And so, as part of his ceremonial victory, he gets his own song. And so, let's do it. We'll play the Jim Hayes song. It's a long one, but that's okay. He deserves it. Chad of the month, Jim Hayes. Here you are.
Shake in his frame while the room ran wild. He kept his name. Eyes on the prize, feet on the floor. He did what he said, then gave them more. They threw the pressure high. He never bent. He held that line and knew what it meant. One step, one breath. He stayed in view. When the whole night cracked, he broke right through. Jim Hayes, Chad of the month. Jim that day, no backing down, no losing face. He turned that fear into first place. Jim Hayes, Chad of the month. Jim Hayes, standing up front. Jim Hayes, one it clean, one it strong, one it right. Jim Hayes stood strong and owned the night.
Oh, shit. The farting Spartan. Thank you, man. We need a download playlist of these, Rob. Oh, boy. We'll see. Thank you, farting Spartan. Two more. Jim Hayes, thank you again. Chat of the month. What a badass. You two will get your shot this month to be the Chad of the month. Oh, Brega Funk. Whatever that means.
Well, that's a whip, that's a whip. Well, that's a whip, that's a whip. We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the lashes say nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Why that, why that, why that, why that, that's a whip. Why that, why that, why that, why that. Well, there's a whip, why that, 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 why that. Well, there's a whip. A crack on the back says we gonna fight. We gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Jumbo Machete, bat. Shambo Mashu and a messing. Why, where there's a wind. Why, where there's a wind. Why, for we are the sea.
That was horrible. Next. Oh. Terrible. Just Godzilla. What the fuck is that? I don't even remember this one. Just Godzilla. Okay?
There's a whip. Where there's a whip. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says, nay, 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 we're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, wing, left. Where there's a whip, there's a whip. Left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a whip. Left, right, left. The crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. Where there's a way.
Jeez.
Where there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Wow. Godzilla whip song. Oh no! Fartin' Spartan. Spin it again, Rob. We ain't leaving. Thank you, sir, for the continued torment. Thank you, Fartin' Spartan. Continue to be the monkey in the middle. Another 2. Oh, polka. Nice. Oh, it's a long one. Yay.
Where there's a whip, there's a whip. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the Land says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. Crack on the back says we're gonna fight, we're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight, we're gonna march all day and night and more. We are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a way.
All right, are we done? Is that it? My goodness. Ooh, we're only $5.01 away from 200%. Wow. You guys are always close to the Disney one. We get close. But it's going to be a no-go. Apparently there was some like riot type shit going on in New York. I couldn't get a clear picture of what's going on, but looks like a bunch of Muslims attacking a bunch of Jewish people outside a synagogue. I'm sure we'll hear all about how Muslims are great and justified. But I couldn't really see if it was like a scheduled protest or whatever. I didn't see what the issue is. Oh, shit. Kyle ran him out. Thank you for the $6 getting to the goal. I appreciate it, man. I do. And then the farting Spartan. Another $100. Absolute legend. This is not yet, Rob. Spin it again. Thank you. Don't. I don't remember this one. Marine Cadence. All right.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
The fuck is that?
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Yes. There's a way, baby. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. There's a way, there's a way. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. Oh, we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
I don't remember that. I swear people like come on and add shit while I'm asleep. Ah, my goodness. Yes, EOD did it. Bastard. Oh! Oh, this sucks. This one's like 5 hours long.
Where there's a whip, there's a whip. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
enough. Like, the song could end now.
A crack on the back says we're gonna fight, we're gonna march all day and night and more. We are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a way.
Are we done? The polka song could be retired. I mean, I'm not going to do it. That's the game. I understand. But is anyone else tired of that after fucking 2 of those tonight? What a shit. Terrible. 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 Oy vey. Did you think that sounded Jewish? I don't know. Disney whip. Listen, you got to get to $1,000 to guarantee the Disney whip. That's not up to me. I'm just the dancing monkey. I was Jewish as hell. How much specifically to request polkas? $150. Just request this. Oh shit. Now this is interesting. The amazing sniper, unbelievable, gives 50 memberships. Thank you so much, Sniper. That will be 2 whip songs. But it doesn't add to the bar for the $1,000 for the Disney song. But the gifted subs are very nice. Very nice. Mangozi over on Rumble, $10 says just a nudge to make the whip wheel go brrr. All right, 2 more. Please don't do polka. Don't do the polka. Oh, piss.
I heard polka.
No, we're over that. Fartin' Spartan, $100. Unbelievable. No sleep till Disney. What the fuck?
Wait, did that put us at 1,000?
No, it's 914. So I owe 4, starting with the Halo one.
So you're saying we're only $84 away from Disney?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay. What is this Halo? I'm cheating during this. Nah, I won't. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Just give me a second.
You know, he always goes, let's play some music, people. Let's play some music we all want to hear. Hold on here. I got you, people.
This is the Rob Noerr Show. It's not the Noerr Rob Show. This is my favorite show.
You know, it's Chair and I's favorite song.
Because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe
Avarice would never take money from Speakeasy Show.
It's the
I roll it over. No, I don't take money from Speakeasy Show. I always roll it over, people. There's no point. You guys would make it too easy for me to win, because y'all are the best chat in the business.
This is the Rob Noerr Show.
Oh no, here he comes.
It's not the Noerr Rob Show. This is my favorite show. Because it is my show.
Hey, Searside, $20 for a chair. Thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, let's start with this Halo shit. Mangozi, another $10. Says how far away from Disney? They're 60. $66. All right, let's play the song I owe. I owe 4. This is the first. No. What the hell? Another long. Hey, all right. We got some more donos that came in. Jeez Louise. More celery, $10 says, watch me whip, watch me day. Boo! But funny. Thank you, Marcelery. Kyle Random gives 4 more bucks. Thank you. Marcelery gives another 10. Says, who's got 40 more? Searsight, $5 says, good evening, Rob. Thank you to both of you. Justin O'Dizzle gives 20. Says, keep it whipping, Rob. Fuck. The Cynic, $10. Says, not one step back. Marcelery, $5 says, 1K Disney. Crowdsourcing it, you sons of bitches. Thank you all. No Bati, $10 says, there's been much talk about here's a person just came in, has no idea the torture I'm being put through. There's been much talk about the Dems' internal coup by the new Dem socialists. Where's the GOP equivalent? Why has Vote Dem been pushed over mirroring an internal coup? That's been my argument. Why not you'd have better chance operating from within the system. Their argument would be something akin to, but we can't because Trump's the incumbent, and until him and his control of the party is taken away. But I disagree. Hunt 4-way. $10 over on Rumble says, suggest $300 dono to nuke a specific whip song from the wheel, never to be heard from again. Think about it, Rob. There's the problem is there's a problem with that as well. It's so confusing. I won't even get into it. I owe 3 whip songs left, 3, and but yeah, there's a lot of problem. I get it. I appreciate the suggestion.
Yes! With me, Rob! Spear fingers! Like this!
There's a way.
$1,000 with me! Dance with me, Rob! Dance with me, Rob! Here it comes, it's the best part! Right here! Left, right, left, right, left! Left, right! A crack on the back! So we're gonna fight! We're gonna fight! End it with spear fingers, Rob! End it with spear fingers, Rob! Put him up! Spear fingers, Rob! Rob, spear fingers!
Everybody happy? Everybody feel good about this bullshit? I hope you're all ashamed. 3 more songs.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the land says, nay, 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 nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, left, 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 left. There's a whip, left, 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 left. A crack on the back, say, gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, 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 there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a whip, 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 whip. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Crack on the back, says, wanna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Waka, 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 waka.
Two more. I'm not smiling. I'm not in a smiling mood right now. EDM. Could have been a welder.
We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the Less is nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a
Fucking Rumble people.
where there's a whip, there's a where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left, away. Left, right, left, right, left, away. Left, right, there's a way. A crack on the back says we gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a
Over on Rumble. K-Tot Swiss says, show Brian Shaprio your dick, Rob. Thank you for that. Thank you. Oh, look at that. We got a Brian Shaprio
He
mention.
harasses women in messages, has a weird infatuation with men's organs. He's a syndicated radio host, and it's all about respect. He's Brian Shaprio.
I will not. My penis will remain covered. Last song, mercifully. It's like the Disney ripoff. What's going
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the Land says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more, for we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
Has everyone had enough of this stupidity? Is it bedtime? Can we stop playing this cruel game? I don't know. We're $92 away from another whip song. I don't think we're gonna get there. We've done all we can, right? We've insulted me, we've shamed me. Everybody did great. I appreciate it. Everyone's tapped out. You're all incredibly generous. Thank you. Chop, thank you for the $1.49 super sticker. It does come across as red, so it's clever. It looks like, in a moment I panicked there and was like, oh shit, is that $100? So I see what you did there, but I was onto it quickly. Tomorrow, call-in show, noon. We're starting on YouTube. We'll get the link out there. Then it's going to be just on Rumble. So tune in for that noon Eastern time call-in show. You can call and yell at me. We'll be on Rumble. You can call and yell at me about how I sold out to Jewish people or I hate Jewish people or whatever the heck. Oh, Sniper. Thanks so much, man. $10 is my lunch money, obviously. I'm stealing Sniper's lunch money. That's not very nice. Mangozi, $10 over on Rumble. Thank you. You know, I actually tallied up all the Rumble donations tonight. And if it would have been up to 100 on Rumble, I would have played another whip song. But it's not. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 55. So Rumble was $45 away. The Rumblers, they're kicking some ass over on Rumble, though. They really are. No! Rumble's doing fine. Now, everybody's done donating. I'm safe to do a little outro here. All right. 55 plus 1873. What are you talking about? So let's do a little outro. Well, first off, where's the 18? Where are you getting this from? There's $55 in donations. Where are you getting the $18 on Rumble? You're just making numbers up? No, bullshit. You're the math guy. Sniper, thank you for the $2. A soda for the lunch. Thank you. No, that doesn't count in any way, shape, or form. I'm well aware what happens. Even my own mods try to scam me. Nope. All right. Let's wind her down. Oh, neck cracking. Well, it's been a wonderful evening. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you have had fun as well. Tomorrow, call-in show around noon. We'll be doing the regular show in the evening. I know for sure Thursday I will be doing the extravaganza. Saturday I will be busy. I will not be streaming at all Saturday for sure. I know that for a fact. Oh, look at this. Sniper again, $35. Says lunch for the kid and wife. Well, shit, we're close now. Thank you, Sniper. We're close. Now we're only 45 away. Oh, my fucking God. Oh, wow, I about blew a gasket, but now I don't have to. Whoo! I got so mad for a second. But now I don't have to get mad. Here, I'll show you. Our good friend Jungle donates $500. Unfucking believable. Over on Rumble. $500 he donates. And I was like, well, shit, I'm going to be here all night. And what does he say? The amazing fucking Chad, perma Chad that he is. He says, go to sleep, Rob. No more whip songs. Just tell everyone Jungle says hello. Ah! What an absolute G. Oh, what a man. Amazing. Jungle, honestly, like everyone is so generous, but special shout out to Jungle, man. You have no idea how many channels Jungle really does help keep going. And I think it's amazing. I know a lot of people are incredibly generous. Jungle's a guy that you could be like, hey, one of the big supporters of this channel is Jungle. And then you go through like 11 channels. And Jungle's one of the biggest supporters in every one. So I can't thank you enough, Jungle. And in addition to that, Jungle also put up with my ass and Avarice and Sniper in real life, inviting us into his place. So always a blast. One of the coolest guys you'll ever meet, man. And he's got one of the most badass, hardest working dads you'll ever meet, too. It was my absolute pleasure to meet Jungle's father. It was a lot of fun. So then we got Sniper, the aforementioned. Thank you, man. $20 as lunch for the dog. You may or may not have. I do have a dog, Dorothy. I think I have a picture of her. Well, I probably don't. I do, but it's with my wife and son, and I'm not gonna. Let's see if I have a quick picture. Nope. But I do have a dog. Sometimes she jumps up here. Oh, Peace Smoke. Thanks for being a member, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Cool's rating over. Son of a bitch. I was just about to raid Cool Thick. For real. Well, I guess that means I'll have to change that. All right. Now listen. You're $25 away from another whip song on YouTube, but Jungle did tell me to go to bed, so I'm only going to give you a couple minutes. Right? First, I got to find someone new to raid. Cool, you've been killing it, man. We'll have to do a show together again. Would be happy. Let's raid Abe Dinkus then. No, I don't have to play a whip song for the new people. The new people could donate money if they want to hear a whip song. You motherfucker. What a... Oh! Okay. FRFM puking. Far from puking. Got it. $5 says, love you, Rob. I wish I'd give you more, but I'm broke after Mother's Day. Well, good. I hope that I mean, not good that you're broke, but I hope you did something very nice for your mom. Thank you, man. And then Justin O'Dizzle gives $10 says, alley oop. Well, we're close. Jungle donates another 500. Absolute maniac that he is. Incredible. And says, okay, fine. Play 20 whip songs. And then he says, well, never mind. Go to sleep. Ah! I literally read the first half of that sentence. It was like, son of a bitch. But you guys want to see something cool? 1 second. Oh shit. Okay. Marcellery, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate it. I want to show you something that Jungle did for me. 1 second. I'll be right back, I promise.
Who rules the waves when the black flags fly? The Nora runs, the Nora runs. Let the cowards cry.
I'll play that with some. But so Jungle and his dad have like this insane machine shop. And he made me this, one of a kind. So these you may be able to get someday. There's a keychain. Crucible keychain. However, look at that. With my name on the inside. How badass is that? Now, I shit you not, I had this it was blue, the exact same type of keychain, bottle opener. It was Bud Light. And I threw the motherfucker out when the Bud Light controversy came. So now I just have for my car, I just have like a leather. So I'm going to put this on the keys on my car. Isn't that badass? I couldn't believe it, man. It was like watching a magician. He's like, yeah, watch this. It'll be super fast. I couldn't believe it. It was just crazy. Thank you as always, Jungle. Oh yeah,
muted. I said Avarice got the coin.
Well, I didn't know if we were showing those off yet, but yeah.
Oh well, I thought
I don't know.
I
don't think Jungle would give a shit. But yeah.
Well,
I mean,
mine does say Avarice's retard on the back.
That's right, it does. I was there to witness that. Yes. So now, Jungle, you guys have no idea. Absolute incredible dude. Cynic, $10. Thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, I owe one stupid whip song. If he wouldn't have said no whip songs, I would have owed It would have been bad news. Piano power metal. Where's our buddy Piano Dean? He'll get a kick out of this. Okay,
There's a whip, there's a way. Where 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 there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. You crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
Oh, wow. Now listen. I just want to say the Rumble audience, after people were giving them shit, a come from behind victory with Donos beating the YouTube audience. It's close. I think Rumble's behind like $40. But the YouTube people were talking mad shit. They were like, oh, Rumble's slacking. Now look, per capita, Rumble's whooping your ass. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. That's a per capita ass whooping for Rumble. Rumble, we're averaging like 50 people. YouTube, we're averaging, right now we have close to 200, but at one point we had over 300. Just throwing it out there. What is per capita? I don't know. It's a term I heard somewhere. I don't know. It's a white person's conspiracy theory. It's racist. Maybe so. Of course, the YouTube side, of course, they think it's racist. The Rumble side's pleased. Oh, Mangozi! $50 over on Rumble. Holy smokes. They may just be outright winning. Mangozi says it happens sometimes. Wow. So if we add this up, this is very close. We got 1,000 from Jungle, 50 from Mangozi. That's 1,050. There's 10, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1,105. Oh, Rumble is $5.94 at this point behind YouTube. to just win outright. What an incredible achievement. The Rumblers. And they get to use slurs. Not a bad deal. I'll give it a minute. We'll see if the Rumblers pass it up. My goodness. They're not special. I use slurs. Fuck you. I use slurs as well. Who's that bragging about slurs? Oh, Mangozi. $10 to take the lead over on Rumble. He says, come on. A nice term that I shouldn't use on YouTube. Thank you, Mangozi. Look at that. Just like that. Rumble, $5 ahead. My goodness. What an ass whooping. Do the YouTube people, do you feel great shame? Are you shamed? Now, I did tell the Rumblers if they broke 100, we're not counting Jungle's donos there, but I would play one song for them. All right, YouTubers, you got until the end of this song. Then I'm going to wrap it up if we don't get... Oh, Greg! $10 to take the lead by 5, so screw Rumble. And then the Snipper dude, another 5, says for the grift. No slurs, sadly. YouTube is now up $10. All right, here we go. We'll play this song.
But that's a whip, that's a whip. But that's a whip, that's a whip. We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the lashes say nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. But there's a whip, there's a way. But there's a whip, there's a way. But there's a whip, there's a way. Why that, why that, why that, why that, that, there's a whip. Why that, why that, why that, why that, where there's a whip. Why that, 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 where there's a whip.
Oh, shit.
Back says we gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. To the west of that, but, Sherman, Mashu, and O'Bessick. Why, where there's a whip, why, where there's a whip, why, for we are all those
Well, that said, it looks like YouTube's going to... Oh, no. Mangozi over on Rumble. $50 donated. That means that currently, Rumble, $40 ahead. That's $1,165 donated on Rumble to a pittance $1,125 on YouTube. How are the people on Rumble winning? Aren't they all debanked? Perhaps they're using Rumble Wallet. Oh, I don't have to read an ad for it right now. I'm not on the extravaganza. Now it's average per capita of viewers. Well, folks, what a day in the history of I got to say, forget about my channel for a moment. Rumble's up and coming. They're trying to dethrone YouTube. Here we see perhaps the first step. Shots fired. Rumble taking over their share of the market. YouTube audience couldn't keep up. Rumble takes the victory. Crazy. There's not going to be any chess tonight, no. I think that's going to do her. I don't think anyone's doing anymore. Everybody's been generous. Don't get me wrong, I'll stick around just to watch the fight, especially if it's people donating money. But I think that's probably it. I think it's probably tapping out. I don't blame anyone. Everybody's a winner. But the Rumble people are real winners. They're the best winners. They just did it. They're really talking mad shit over there. I can't say some of the words, but they're gloating in their victory. There's some mad shit talking going on over on Rumble right now. There's some nice stuff too, like We Rock, but then there's some not so nice stuff. Little shit talking. Yeah, it's call-in show tomorrow, Justin. It'll be fun. Well, gentlemen, I think that's it. Final tally is going to be Rumble wins by $40. Oh, man. Impressive. I feel like a traitor too. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. Who are we raiding? I forget. Cool Vic. We're going to raid Abe Dinkus tonight. Over on the YouTube side. Rumble, you don't have to raid anyone. You guys are winners. You guys are the winner. You don't have to raid anyone. You can just fucking celebrate all night. Let them have their win. I don't know what to say. Well, I'd like to thank my good friend Avarice, my editor Black Elk, all of my wonderful moderators, everyone who donated tonight, with a special shout out to Jungle for the $1,000. Unbelievable. Thank you. Everybody on Rumble, everyone on YouTube that donated, everyone who liked the stream, gave it a thumbs up. Appreciate it. If you just watched, appreciate that as well. If you watched and you don't like me, what the hell is wrong with... No, I'm just kidding. But Spartan was an absolute G tonight. I mean, dude. Spartan nailed fucking 4 in a row, keeping me up late at night. Crazy. Flavius Blasterbutt, Chop, Arvo, everyone else that gave money. You guys are the best. Like, for real. Really appreciate it. Rumble's the best of the best, but... All right, speaking of Rumble, reminder, tomorrow noon, call-in show. It's going to start on YouTube, Rumble, everywhere I'm normally at, but then we're going to transition it to only Rumble. You can call in. That'll go 2.5 hours from about noon to 2:30. I don't even know what to talk about. We can talk about whatever you people want. So you have your chance to call in. It should be fun. Take a moment and say a prayer for Charlie Kirk and for his family. We talked today in the serious portion of the show about how Democrats will try to win by any means necessary. They talk about all norms, all democracy. And as soon as they lose through those channels, right back to the extremists they are. They'll try to fucking pack the courts. They'll recommend all kinds of crazy shit. And if that don't work, the little brown shirts will take you out. Just never forget what the stakes are. Never forget human life lost. Charlie Kirk's daughters will grow up without a father now. So please just take a moment and say a prayer for that. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all so much. We'll see you all tomorrow around noon. As always, have a good one. Rumble wins.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.